So we're still talking about the compass. Now we did an overall peripheral, gentle. You asked a question, and so we're still answering the question of this. Still connects to Wizard of Oz and Black Material because it's all telling the same story of finding oneself. And so you mentioned even this morning. So this tethers that we recalibrated the compass, I believe, in our last teaching. So I'm going to keep this on the board for a reason. I just put this on here. So we've already comprehended calibrating the compass, that we've already equated the north as left. Therefore, we know that in Hebrew and English, by definition, Hebrew means left for north, and in Hebrew and English, by origin of the word, it means right. Okay. Therefore, we have east up here, and we have west down here. And this is the garden. This is you. Everything's based on perspective. This is what you're, and then you were sharing how you're starting to see things as more of a circular motion of completion, and that's exactly what it is. In the West, we were sharing that everything in the West is lineal mindset, right? It's that way. It's over there, and that's Western thinking. And it's amazing how even the West, we've already defined the West, is really it's the first step out of the garden. This is, everything is duality. The North is hidden, because that's what it means. We're going to go into the fuller revelation of that, but I wanted to step out of the garden first. We came from something, we came into a construct for the purpose of experiencing and journey. In all our teachings and renderings, this whole journey is equated as love. The whole journey, whether good, bad, or indifferent, is the application of affliction that is really defined as love. This is the 222 journey. 2 paths of 22. 22 letters of the Aleph Bet. One is mother and one is father. Because it's all about parental direction and guidance. And we are simply, and I'm simply, reparenting ourselves so we comprehend what is one. Because everything is one. I put this on here because I think in the last couple of videos we're talking about the eye of Ra and how it really roots down to affliction and also friend. It's perspective again, because affliction, if seen correctly, it's propulsion and direction. It tells you you want to go this way. We're going to set up for the south, because we've already talked about the west being naked, bare, gathering materials. It's looming. It's the waft and the warp. It's all material, because our whole focus is haute couture, high fashion. Mm-hmm. From the lowly estate of stepping out in the process of becoming, you are weaving your garments that are not yet, they would be seen in the manifestation of those in the world. So they will be seen as conspicuous, but yet our process is to humbly weave them so we comprehend the meek authority. And the world will see meekness established as garments of light, but it's only because of the inward introspection that we're able to produce haute couture, the craftsman of high intention. This is all through the language. And the high intention is Yod He Vav He, right? The shorthand that reveals much. This is speaking, this broad in the earth, but it's speaking, don't make a mistake, it's speaking height and depth. This is the deep. Boom, it's looking to, but you can only find the deep from the shallow, or shallower. And every step along the compass is ascension or progression or inclination or acclamation that produces and reveals that which is hidden, the north. Okay. So I wanted to put that on there because even this part, this Resh Ayin Aleph Vav Resh, it's my way of saying roar. It's kind of flipping the sound because it's Ra or. It means the adversarial friend is light, or. There's two words there. Or is Hebrew for or, light. And then we have Ra, the eye of Ra, right? The all-seeing eye of the adversarial friend that is light. Because now you're able, this would be a full word, full, no longer dualistic.
So Ra means adversarial friend.
Ra means adversary.
Okay.
And the same word also means special friend. It's all based on perspective of where you start in the journey, because usually maturity allows your perspective to shift to see it as a catalyst that produces an intention. Right? Yod Heh is the intention. So when we say intention, this is what we're talking about. Becoming in the form and likeness of similitude, right? There's an intention. In the beginning, telescopically, sovereignty stands as the intention. That's the becoming. So I just put that so you can see that roar is actually ra or, right? It's the essence, the matured light within you. Okay. So we've already talked about the West. We've already talked about the dynamic of what the West is, and everything in this construct is duality. Nothing new there, right? And this is hemispheres of the brain. I'm looking down at the top of your head, or my head. I have a component of right and left hemispheres here. A male and female component that seeks balance of one, right? And we've already talked about that. That's perspective of going into, and at some point you go right into the black, because this is really hidden from us. So it's a morphology of macro micro. Even though there's a side of us that's hidden, we're all corporately and individually wrestling this. So it's telling a corporate story, but then you have to go into the micro of individuality. So this is broad, but now let's bring it home. So now we can take that broadness of really what it's saying, and now we can bring it in to the macro micro of hemispheric brain that is seeking to become one again. And the one would equate as the olive. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's a huge word, and we might get into this later on, but we'll just leave it for what it is, because that by the way is the mark. That's also the olive, the strength of the leader, and it's also a tav by representation. That alone is olive tav. That's a mark of completion of one. Okay? But this lineal way of thinking from the West, as we live in the West, we are very this way. It's over there, but we're not connecting the circle. The Eastern cultures comprehend this. This is why they have a lot of comprehension of reincarnation and this inculcative nature of redundancies that produce an intention. If you don't get it, we've already shared that in the other teachings about the cycle of one love. If you complete the cycle in one life cycle, you're allowed to move beyond this dimension. You've shifted dimensions because you've completed the intention to become the template, and either you can come in and assist in this realm, or you can be removed in whatever, I don't know what's behind that, but because as soon as you come into this construct, you already have the head wound of forgetting. Manasa, to forget. And then we have to, Zakar, remember that which we already knew to become it. So, Western culture, lineal thinking. Hebrew, Aramic, which means Aram means lofty or citadel. Okay? And it's more of a pictograph language of comprehensions. And so it is a completed circle of Hebrew, because Hebrew would say, Western culture say, I know how to ride a bike. I read the book and it says right here, yeah, I know how to read it. But the Hebrew, the Aramic culture say, no, I need to get on the bike, practice on the bike, become one with the bike. Then they would say, ayada. I know, ayin. I know the bike because I am the bike. Different way of thinking. Okay? So we are becoming the circle. 360 degrees. We calibrate the compass. We become the compass. We are the calendar of checks and balances. The lesser is giving way to the greater. I keep the calendar in incremental steps until I realize, wait a minute, it is simply a mode of operation that is instructing me inculcation in a way. Inculcation means to walk. So I inculcate to become the intention. 360 degrees. I'm full circled now. I've met myself from my beginning to my end, and now I realize that when we find out what this word means, the East means, we're going to realize, oh wow.
It's like the calendar is a macro template of what needs to be completed internally. So 300 and it's the yearly cycle.
It's macro, micro. It's within you, but it's also its exterior, right? Because macro, micro works, yes and and. Macro, micro works on, it goes up and down, because a calendar is really a macro component because it still is the intention. So it's macro, it's huge. The calendar is huge because guess what? You're the calendar. So it has to be macro. But yet in the micro, it's telling you you're going to have to walk out the increments of the calendar to calibrating your compass. So now it comes into a micro formation that produces the macro. And then this is all expansive. This is the quantum physics of macro micro, because what is greater and what is lesser in the sense of purity, it still is moving in directions. Everything that speaks macro speaks micro, and everything that speaks micro is macro. It has to be, because it too is a circle. Comprehend that?
I do. Yeah, for the sake of conversation, I guess I only use macro.
Yeah.
But
okay. So let's define.
But I do see it's one and the same, because it's like we're turned inside out in this space.
Absolutely. You're speaking vortexes. As above, so below, right? So we go in through this macro, through the lineal, or through this lineal walk, and then we realize we're really going into this finite place of nothingness, but in that completed nothingness, which would be mother, we find the hidden. It's still this side right here. Boom, we now find the macro of father. And this is vortex, this is propulsion, force propulsion, that it comes back to feed itself.
Finding ourselves turned from inside out to the right, outside in. Like
becoming whole. You're realizing the full potentiality of who you are through the journey. I mean, we're not remembering, this is the power of finding yourself, is you realize that you are a creative force. 0 point is in this spot right here, is creative energy. This is in between dimensions, right? And in that, this cocoon is everything. It's like, it's expanse. It's completed expanse.
Interesting you call it a cocoon. I've heard other people refer to that 0 point space before they pop out into sort of enlightenment.
Well, you're talking metamorphosis. Think of a butterfly, right? 0 point is transmutation into another dimension. You've gone from, oh Jacob, you worm, walking the earth in the dust, and then you're into the place of the narrow gate, comprehending that you're comprehending the metamorphics of transmutation, arisen of the east, and now you have the wings, right, of a butterfly. Out of the cocoon you emerge, and it's all based on the introspection work, because these wings, yes, it's an angelic metaphor, but yet it comes from in you. It's the expanse. When you look at Job, this comes out of your back, but your heart, where is your heart? Is your heart in your front or in your back? Or is it in your center? So out of the heart comes the revelation of flight, which is really, that's why I put it ayin, or ra, resh, ayin, aleph, vav, resh. The adversarial light, the friendly. You are now an adversarial friend. We are, and this again is good inculcation, because when I comprehend this, I'm realizing that to you, I want to be, if I'm up wherever I am in my pendulum swing, through my revelation I share with you, and I want to be as much as an adversary as a friend, because I know that to me, my best friend would not allow me to go in a direction that would cause me much pain based on my lack of comprehension, right, or understanding, purposely said. A good friend would want me to overstand the situation by greater revelation that I comprehend where I am. And that good friend, if I see him correctly, is going to say, I'm going to be a little bit of a rub to you because that's how much I love you. But make no mistake, I am a friend. And that's what a true friend would do. That's a shepherd that knows how to break the leg of a lamb to keep it from wandering. And he will put it on his back and carry it till it heals, and it will never leave the shepherd. It's that kind of vernacular. It's an adversarial friend. It's based on perspective. So let's talk about the South. Because we've already talked about the West. Coming out of and into. And again, this circle is only here as a metaphor or a symbol, because that's all it really says, but these can be touching. Like they're close together. Because really the South is right up beside this. The West, the South, just a word that is looking for recognition of mutual consent to say, yes, I'm going in this direction, and therefore the West is now being filled up with the South. Right? Because they're side by side. So there it is, and there's the East. Oh, and then all of a sudden we got the North. Oh, and then we got the West again, right? Because it's a circle. But for us in our limited perspective right now, we need to know, or it's good for us to know from my perspective, sharing with you, is that this is what I'm seeing. This is the step-in place out of the garden. This right here is Gan. So the garden is here. We stepped in. Wait a minute, I don't remember. I willingly came in, gave consent to come in here to establish something, but I got to find it. And that's part of celestial law. It's like you got to find yourself, and it will produce a nature. And then we're getting a little deeper in this because we still have opportunity to move back into the north. But then that's defined as affliction, evil.
Yeah.
And so we never have the chance to empty out our wrestle, Jacob.
What you partner with.
Right? Or we're going to be filled with affliction. But this process, again, through inculcation for you, just remembering, is that this empties us out through humility so we can become the measure of intention, completed. So, this is the walk of humility. That's how we see that. So the South is actually a kind of, it's not going to be long on the South. There's not a lot to talk about the South, other than, yeah.
I just find, humility for me has been it's kind of an abstract concept for a long time, and something that I feel like I've been able to attach it to is the word teachability.
Sure.
So the utility of humility is to be teachable, it seems to me. So the higher self, by agreeing with the process of being afflicted up and to be sort of goaded up, is the acceptance of teachability that also seems to me equate to humility.
Yes.
So it's the utility of humility
Yeah.
is teachability.
Yeah, you have a very good vantage point perspective based on what you're partnering with. Yes, you see it clearly. That's right. But most affliction is equates as friction. Friction's looking for a resolve. It's like this tensed up thing, and anything in affliction is like something is set in motion that's causing a catalyst of compaction. And so it's like affliction is it's that same. That's why I keep on sharing with you about the influence. Then we have thought, and then we have the thought is now connecting to a desire. And when it gets placed, this is the danger of a thought. As soon as it gets placed into your heart, it's now become a desire. If it's still left up here, and this is what I wrote a little snippet about being a spy, because everything is about being a good spy is able to see, but there's part of it is like, gotta be careful not to have it set in your heart. If it's not correct, can't keep your thought captive. Process it before it's deposited, because as soon as your thought is deposited, it already starting to mature into a desire. Heart is now, a brain-heart coherence is now, says, we need to connect this with action, right? Now we have commitment to the desire that seeks the resolve of the thought based off the influence, right? So it's good to know that where you are as far as your question is going, like, yes, you know that that it is directly connected to humility. But there's those on the wrestle that don't comprehend humility. They're still in the wrestle. They're going like affliction, 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 What they don't know that it's like, it's bowing the head to see the affliction correctly, that it's a catalyst that's trying to propel you, but it will not move beyond. It'll start to build on itself, depending where you go. Or it's going to stop and say, that's enough for you. There's enough affliction in your life until it is processed correctly and then seen correctly. You're never going to know how to walk it out. And I would hate, this is the grace of our Father, Creator, is that He never would burden us with the full. This is why it's incremental. This is why we don't go to Father's side, because he wants us to know His side by the incremental walk of humility. That's the only way you can know that side. It's exactly what you just said. So yes, it's knowing what you do know, and then ingathering the pieces by walking between the pieces of Mother and Father, all will be revealed. So you're tethered, to what you do in your own studies, and you're able to see it completely as humility. And that's a very, very good perspective. But there's many people in the journey that don't see humility. They're still tethered to ego and vanity. And vanity is but an affliction, seeking resolve. Because that's really what it is. Humility means you found the resolve. Because by definition, meekness is humility's resolve. That's how you find meekness. It's the fullness of humility's resolve. But it's still incremental. So until we shift out of vanity that produces ego, because ego is just a word as vanity. It's waiting to be filled up by association of proximity. If we give it value and we saddle up alongside it through thoughts that create the desires that complete His intentions, right? Then we're filling it up. But over here, this filling up is based on emptying out. Oxymoron. That's humility. In your emptying, I fill you up. That's the reward. All right. I know you're thinking there must be the movie. I drink your milk too.
Dude, that's why I started smirking.
I know you did. I could sense it. Okay, so that's really good. Now let's see the south. So it's Yod, Mem, Nun, right? And it means to go choose the right hand. So now we have Yod. You know Paleo. You know the basic concept and construct, because this is all shorthand. Mother. Mother's saying this is all Mother. This is the compass of revelation that points you. Now we have Mem. So now we have chaos, water, mighty, blood, but yet it's still telling you, right, this is the power, means, and directions to overstand chaotic waters while you're in the flesh. Or it can say, this is the power, means, and directions, the work and deed of the hand will allow you to comprehend through the mighty deeds of the blood, so you become progeny. Because the Nun is still seed. The Nun in its paleo form would be progeny, or even prodigy, or propagation, or family. It's all about moving family into the intention. Everything is about intention. Everything is about an intention. This is the intention. This is the template. The template of intention, Yod He Vav He. So there it is in its first encounter, and it means south, to choose, bara. Because from the west, you can still go north if you so choose, or you can go south, because you're right in the place. From the very first step, I'm in the west. Thought, what's my influence? As soon as I think I'm already committed, and now I'm going, right? So bara, it's like choose, to go or choose the right hand. And we would equate that as, right, that we're going to see that it's going to connect to Yara, which means Yeshua. So now we have Yod, Mem, Nun, and then we have a morphing, and this says it's from, this has got a morphing here, and it goes to Yod, Mem, excuse my noon, and I think it's a hay. This, by the way, is the primitive root. So I love primitive roots because if there was a tree and then we have the peripheral branches and there's a trunk, I love the primitive root because it tells me there's a root ball that tells me that I can't go beyond that, or there's not much unless the spirit shows me I'm in the roots. It's like I can't go any further to extrapolate out the forensic of definition. This is pretty clear. The power, means, and direction of mothers first, or to stand over the waters of chaos, right, is family, is progeny. This is the vision. This is what it's saying. This is the vision of mother while you're in the earth, is for family. It's saying that is equating, and this is the right hand. Okay? So now we have this other word, that's 3231, that right there, if someone wants it in Strong's. And then I always like to move laterally in the Strongs because there's similar words, even though some of them may not be connected, there's still morphings, because a word is only a word. English is the lesser narrative. Hebrew is still connected with the frequency that still connects it, because these are frequencies. So we can still see similarities that we can go, oh, this, now we're going into Father a little bit here, because we're going, oh, so what is this now? This now is risen, and this is 3232. And this means good fortune. So the south is good fortune. It's the same yod mem. Now we have a risen noon. Now interesting, this word right here is from this word. Right? So now, and this means prosperity of the right hand, good fortune. So it's kind of telling you a little bit, this is like prognostication or prophecy. By the power, means, and directions, the work indeed of the right hand. Overstanding by understanding, right? Because we, remember in the paleo, we have water. That's the sheen of mem, I'm sorry, it is really a sheen, but it's the wavelength of the Paleo Hebrew. Mm-hmm. But so that's all it is. There is no mem sofit like a final mem would be, right?
Yeah.
In the Paleo, it simply is a wave. In its so it tells you there's an above and there's a below. But we would already know that, going like, well, to find above, I gotta walk below. So it's kind of like telling you something here. That's a little bit, I don't want to get confusing with that, but it's telling you that the power, means, and directions is walking in the mighty blood. Over the waters of chaos is how you raise your nature, right? Beholding the revelation of Father. Because it's on the prefixal side, it's an added hey in here. But this still can be macro mother as well, because it's still telling you by beholding the revelation. If I'm still in mother down here and I'm seeing this, and I haven't comprehended Father, I can still extrapolate this out to say, the power work indeed of the hand is how I overstand, raising my fleshly fallen nature through mother's revelation, right? If I still can't see Father correctly. So I'm mixing things. I know it might be that's advanced, so we'll keep to the simplistic.
Or good fortune being revealed through having gone the way of
raising your nature to stand over the waters of chaos through the revelation is the good fortune. Mm. Finding this is extravagance of wealth. In the template of intention, yes. This is good fortune. Yes. Okay, cool.
Going south.
Yes, going south. So now we have a little morphing here, and this one is 3233, and it's the same. It means the right hand, and it's yod mem, nun yod, and it means right hand or right, yemeni, and it's saying the same thing. Now we have right and left hand here, but let's keep it in mother's narrative. So the power, means, and the directions through the mighty blood to overstand the waters of chaos is how you rise, or you're risen as family, progeny, right? That is the power, means, and direction, or gives you vision. Now, this is on the Father's side, so this gives you vision now of
the mystery.
Well, you're in the south, right, of the mystery. So you're starting to see from, if this was, mother was a mountain peak, right?
Maybe opening you up to the peripherals.
then from that perspective of high vantage point, she allows you to see Father's mountain without being in. She's risen you out of the valley. You've ascended. You're like, wait a minute, I see something over there. What is that? Oh, that's power, means, and directions on the other side. That's Father's mountain. Now you have double vision. 2020. You're seeing with both your eyes. You're seeing the affliction, but you're seeing, wait a minute, the affliction is maybe good.
Okay.
So it's just, again, everything is based on the perspective. I can say much, but it's solely based on my perspective. My job is to try to render it clear for you. Okay. So let's look at this right hand. So now we have this. So if that says good fortune, then we can equate it as that's Gad. The tribe of Gad. That word means good fortune. Now you can probably look at that word Gad because it means good fortune, and the right hand is good fortune. So now we have attributes of the 12 brothers in here. Gad, good fortune. And we know that the Gimel, the Gam, really means to be weaned and ripened in maturity, so you would find the door. That's the good fortune. What door? Right? The Dalet. So now we have the teachings of the door that present themselves, and it tells you how to put your hand on the door through being weaned and ripened, which is by definition humility. You are no longer immature, you are mature, and you're humbly able to see the door, grasp the door to enter, so you may become good fortunes. Because everything's about becoming.
By choosing to be teachable.
By choosing to be teachable. You submit yourself and you become that of the teacher. The same word, Gimel, Vav Dalet. It's still from the same, it's from good fortune, it's from Gad, and it means in the sense of distributing. And it also means attack, invade, overcome. It's a course of action. And it means press into. Actually, the word for press into is Gimel, Dalet, Dalet. Let me give you a rep. So press into the double doors. That means press into.
The double doors are...
This is still speaking Gad, double fortune. Right? Through being weaned and ripened in maturity, you've entered the other door. One door has now led to another door. And again, we can go into much teachings like this because...
So they may even equate to the different directions on a compass, the doors, maybe south.
Well, let me, yes, absolutely, let me explain that. So first of all, let's keep it straight. So this is the first occurrence, and this is God, and it means to attack and evade. But really, it's not an outside thing. This is again why the nations rage, because they've gone the left-hand path of arrogance and ego and pride, and they're saying, it's everyone else's problem, not mine. They're not realizing this is the introspection work of the right hand that produces, right? I'm at war with myself until I'm at peace with myself. These ones are at war with themselves, and they seek no peace because they don't comprehend the right hand journey. So this word right here, this Vav added in between the Gad of good fortune, and it means in the sense of distributing, this is the connecting rod, the Vav, that means I am pierced within. Okay? It means expansion, I've expanded myself, I've attacked, I've distributed wealth within, and in that I've connected. Now the morphology, what have I connected to? What's the next word? Because the next word we have now, we're going to a double Dalet and going, I've connected to another dimension.
Okay.
Because it's within you. The dimension macro micro is within you. Now interesting, because this is still Gad and it still is connected to, this is where it starts getting a little steep, because it's still connected to Yaman, south.
Okay.
So this door that's good fortune that you're connected to, you enter one door, but it still is the Mem. What is the Mem showing you? By entering in mother, because there's the door right there, you enter into her womb, and then she wants to show you the Father's sealed chambers, which is the final Mem. That's the other door. So this is where the language starts to morph a little bit, because you're realizing, if you can see correctly, you're realizing that door is the sealed chambers. This one over here, that is the door to the open. I have to enter in this one, but only by entering this door am I going to find this door. Enter into here to find the sealed chambers. That's a little bit of advanced teaching,
Okay.
but you comprehend that.
As much as what you just
Okay.
expressed.
All right. So let's move now.
But that is helpful because that's always been a question of mine whenever I see the double dollet. I mean, I felt like I know that it means going through two doors or going through two dimensions, but I haven't known always what to connect it to.
Right.
You know, so having imagery is always helpful. So the compass, or if it relates to even the mems of entering into the hidden.
Here's another word for south. Tav, Yod, Mem, Nun. And the word is 8486. I don't really speak the language. I study the language. It would be like Timon. And it's from Yamin. So it's from 3225. But this is actually really interesting because it's saying that it's the same we just did, but now we have Tav on the prefix. This is a covenantal pledge. This is the Tav of covenant that's now on the cell. So make a covenant with the right hand path.
So it's like commitment.
Commitment.
Having committed to the path.
That's why it's a course of action. This is knowing the right hand path and going like, I make the pledge to the right hand path. This is covenantal now. And that, if you're looking for that, that's like I say, Strong's 8486. It's also morphs, this word. It's the exact same spelling to 8487. And it's really interesting when you look at this. The word means a northern district of Eden. That word. A northern district of Eden. Now, just even on that word alone. That doesn't really say a lot, but it still is Taman, right? Taman. But it's from the same 3225, the one we just did, right? It's still from this word right here. That's 3225. It just has now this added Tav on it, which is covenantal, a pledge, an oath. Comprehend the oath of the right hand, because that will make you complete. So, I thought that was interesting. Let's go to this word right here. There's another word for the south. There's a couple words that mean south. That's why they're so interesting. All these, it's not just south, like it's within you. And this is what I find interesting. The yod is always looking for, the yod is the small hand, because that's yod. That's vav. The yod is simply the power, means, and directions that wants to become sovereign, standing. That's the vav. So here's a word for the south, and it's yod mem, yod nun. Oops, yeah, it's a bad nun. Writing on an angle, so it's a little hard. Yod. So what we can see in this, and this means on the right hand. This is Strong's 3227. Yemini. This word morphs into 3228. Exact same spelling, and it means it's a descendant name, but it's also Benjamin, right? Now it's interesting. If these three yods are seeking sovereign standing, even though it's a word and it's a frequency, I can already see that these are simply power, means, and direction that are pointing in a direction, because it equates as the south, tells you there's something higher, right? Because the south it's limited. The south is still pointing. You need to go east. When you comprehend the west, come to the south. When you comprehend the south of the right-hand path, you're going to become the east. Yay, because now you can become the north, hidden, fully revealed. That's the last revelation. But these are looking for commitment of action that would make them established as a vav. Vav, vav, vav. Which equates as what? Vav is
666.
But in its full commitment of turning, these would become completed as 999. Okay. So, because they're looking for this. The south is looking to be totally turned. totally turned upside down in the revelation of this. So even though it's 666 and it's just the number 6, but it equates, it's seeking a resolve. Everything's seeking resolve. And in the lenses of innocence, without the bastardization of the dark that are projecting this false narrative of only one eye covered, I reveal both eyes to say and to share that this is how you turn the nature from the lesser to the greater. By making the pledge of the right hand, I become the established vision of the right hand, right? I become the one who is standing over the waters of chaos. So the power means the direction, fully arisen in the power of my Father. Here's another word. It's interesting. This is the word, because we're talking about standing, Yod Kaf, and this is just a, this is the name of the pillar of the right hand. Yakin, Yokin, Yod Kaf, Yod Nun, Yakin. So this is the pillar on Solomon. Well, it's not.
Or Yakin.
Yeah. It's Yod. It's actually, we don't even do it justice. Really, this is like a oo sound, Ukin. We Americanize it, but really it's the wa. So it could be Wakin too, because it's the double. The Yod is the oo sound, but it's the double oo, which gives the wa. So you could be Wakin.
Very interesting. I feel like that also equates to Jupiter.
So this is the pillar, the right hand pillar on Solomon's tape on the temple, because the temple is you. This is your right hand, and it's from the root of Kaf, Vav, Nun, to stand, Kum, to be determined, to be firm, to be established.
Very cool.
So the right hand is a pillar. Kum, stand. So it's for those that you can probably even connect the language of, it's the prefix to Qumran. Mm-hmm. The standing and the Ran, and that's another word, we can break that down later, but really you become a standing song. You're moving in the direction of the completed song of intention. This is a song, this is a frequency that will be sung by those who will become it. This is the established right hand will be met with the established left hand when we reveal this, and this is the arisen song.
Song of Songs?
Song of Songs. The Shulamite and Solomon, the book Song of Songs is written by the same man. He is the Shulamite and he's also the drawer of. He plays both sides. We've already shared that. He plays both sides. The book is written as a narrative saying, there wasn't a lady writing it. I wrote both sides from the perspective, and both their names root down to Strong's 7999, which means shalom.
Peace. Goal.
The consuming fire, or the twin fires that teach, point, and goad you in the direction of the sealed waters. Fully encapsulated. There's no seas, there's no rough seas, there's no open gate. You're fully sealed in peace. Body, soul, and spirit. Mind, body, and an estate. Fully encapsulated in water, Shem, in the teachings of water, fire, and water. You are the name of light, Lamed. You are the staff that goads and protects. You are a teacher of peace, Shalom, Shalom.
The gematria, it's out to 1.
It comes to the gematria 1? Very good. So it should. There's things in here that just should be olive, which is tav, broken up. It's the sovereign stand of two visions in the earth and above. You are sovereignly standing, connecting both of them through mother and father as a pillar and a pillar. That's really it now for the right hand. We can go into, I will go to, we'll probably make a little connection with this, but we're running a little low on time. But I need to connect in a little bit more of the depth of this. Maybe we'll do a B section to this to tie it to Yeshua, why this connects to Yeshua. But I don't want to get too complicated and go because it gets a little meaty. So we'll just leave this at that right now, that you are becoming the right hand pillar. Yah will establish to be firm and determined. The power, means, and directions of overstanding, risen in the full authority of both visions, mother and father. Yod Mem, Yod, Nun, Yod.